Well, it's another sold out show tonight, and not only that, but yeah, my guest did not show up. So, welcome to Magical Journeys Fucked Up Podcast. Anyway, I put the word out there in case somebody wants to come on from Facebook to do an open mic tonight. So maybe we'll have somebody on, maybe we won't. I'm not going to worry about it. Currently, I have 0 people watching me. I'm not gonna worry about that either, because it is what it is anymore. Um, so tonight, we're gonna talk about, I don't know, some stuff and see how it goes. Um, so I've decided I'm gonna do some changings coming up. We're gonna move to from Friday night to Saturday night, and we'll see how that works. Couldn't be any worse than this. So, yeah, there's that, and, excuse me, this and then we're going to, go to straight up 7 o'clock on the hour for the show on Friday night. That will happen in July. So, the first Saturday in July, which I believe is the day before 4th of July, I don't know, I don't really care, is gonna have that going on, and, I don't have anybody booked for that night. Probably a good thing, because it's a holiday weekend, they're probably not gonna show up anyway. They're not even showing up for the non-holiday weekend at this point, right? So, hey, Tiger Lily. Um, so my guest didn't show up. We're solo. Joy, joy. Um, so yeah, starting July, we're gonna start doing Saturday evenings at 7 o'clock on the dot. Um, I have 1 or 2 people already scheduled for. Yeah. Hey, James, how are you doing? Um, I have 1 or 2 people already scheduled for July, and we'll see how next week goes. I'm not really confident about next week's guest either right now, to be honest with you. But I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. I have been. One of the things that I'm thinking about doing real soon, and I may do this as a documentary with Austin Lawrence. We're talking about it, is doing some background on a key player in the lore of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, John Hendricks, who was known as the prophet of Oak Ridge. And one of the reasons why he's a key player is long before before we ever heard of Y12 and Y25, long before there was a secret city, uh, John had a revelation, and the revelation showed him, he was shown not only the factories that would come up and the city that would be there, but the war as well. John died in 1915, so it was long before even the First World War that he passed. And so, with that being said, um, one of my main questions was, why has nobody, including me, ever discussed John before? And why are we not talking about something that was probably one of the more interesting stories about the history of Oak Ridge, and something that you don't have to dig too far because it's public knowledge. His grave sits on an empty plot in the middle of a community. It's not even in a graveyard. It's one grave under a box tree in the middle of a community. Right next to his memorial trail, there's a trail uh, dedicated to him right next to it. That is part of his story. And so it's safe ground to talk about when it comes to Oak Ridge. It's not something that's kept secret. People know about it there. And yet it's a vital part of the history, interesting part of the history. Very much a Michigan Sandman. How are you doing? It's very much a part of uh, the lore of the area that should be talked about. Yeah, yeah. See that, and you know what? You want to know something really interesting? I dated a girl whose father worked at Oak Ridge. Um, back and so yeah, and he eventually went on to become a CEO of Control Data, which is, I don't even know if the company exists any longer, but at the time that I met her, he was making triple digits a year for a civilian company. But yes, he was part of the Oak Ridge. She was actually born in Oak Ridge. Um, so yeah, that's a very interesting little fun fact about my connection with Oak Ridge. But yeah, the overall history, a lot of the myths about the town, a lot of misinformation about the town that gets spread around on social media. I've been diving into lately. Um, a lot of the so-called portals that you see pictures of, the round clouds and so forth, are actually right, right. It is very difficult to get information about, like, if they worked at one of the facilities there, it's very hard to find a lot of information. Although I will tell you, they do have museums and um, like information centers for Y25 and Y12. So the public can go on the property, um, the public access part of the property, and they can go in and have a little bit of a museum-like experience there, as to what the facilities do, uh, in ways that they can express to the public. Um, we have to remember, though, that Y12 is part of the the important part of national security. So I think that is one of the things that he probably didn't think about it, to be honest with you, or at least talk about it to the family, because it's highly controversial to talk about. Like, it's that's just it's so part of the problem with Y12, one of the reasons why it's so secret, is because it is part of the the security of the country. They still do some things there that that have to do with maintenance and um, supplying things that we need to keep this country safe and secure. So that's part of the thing there. Now, are there things there that are going on that maybe yeah, yeah, that's the thing is like they aren't really allowed to talk about. I mean, it would be the same thing as if, somebody was going on a secret mission or a mission period to, you know, the Middle East or to Europe or something, during a conflict or whatever, because of national security interest, you wouldn't want to be able to share that information. You wouldn't want people to share that information. So that's part of it. Um, do I believe that there's nothing involved with um, some of the conspiracies and so forth? I don't know. I don't know, to be honest with you. There's a lot of mythological stuff, though, surrounding Oak Ridge. Uh, I do know, and I have seen the documentation for it. I do know that the the recent UFO file release does mention at least one experience uh, in Oak Ridge that caught the attention of the government. They were rather concerned about the experience. Uh, it is listed in the documentation. I have not got a chance to really thoroughly check it yet, uh, but it will be part of what I look into overall and see what we got going on there. Um, but yeah, there's a little bit of stuff going on uh, with me raising my eyebrow about some things with uh, the Oak Ridge story. Um, there's some things I want to look into, such as the rumors of Mothman sightings there. Um, some of the more like high strangeness reports, I want to look into and see just how legitimate those are. Like whether they, like I know in the Appalachia area, there's a lot of uh, reports of winged creatures. He always had a telescope out. That's kind of my goal whenever I get to, because I'm looking at moving to Cookeville, which is actually in Appalachia, and it's 400 and something feet higher elevation than here. So I'm looking. Once I get to Cookeville, I'll probably have a telescope out, looking around in the skies there. Um, I may try to fix it where I can actually record, uh, do some video from my phone or something to see what I can find out there. But yes, that is one of the things I'm looking toward doing over the next few months is trying to find housing out there in Cookeville area, and so I will actually be broadcasting from Appalachia at that point. It is the Cookeville area is considered part of Appalachia. So I'm looking forward to that. Definitely looking forward to that. do I ever want to go out west to research paranormal activity? I lived in Oregon for a period of time. I love going out west. I haven't been back since 2014. Um, if I could afford it and the opportunity arose, I would go. To be honest with you, I'm really interested in going to um, the event they have annually for in Colorado. Katie Page is part of that event where they have they it's I think it's called the Snippy Symposium or something like that. They have a lot of guest speakers and so forth, and they talk about a lot of the stuff that's going on in the Colorado area and so forth. So I would like to go out there at least at some point for that. It's spendy. It's not cheap. The tickets are ridiculously high from at this point. I've seen some of what you're talking about. I actually saw a couple of things like that the week after 9/11 over Chicago, and I wondered about that myself because we were the host country was under a no-fly zone. I had a lot of sightings of things flying, moving through the air uh, during the week of 9/11 that was not should not have been moving in the air like they were. We were all under a no-fly zone, and one of the craft was flying, or a group of craft, I should say, were flying low, really low. Like they could have been helicopters, but they weren't acting like helicopters and they weren't looking like helicopters, but they were flying very low to the ground over the town, near the college, which has a supercomputer, by the way, the University of Illinois in Champaign is one of the places that has a supercomputer on its facility. Um, so yeah, it's very possible that there may have been um, some stuff flying around that he saw from time to time that it was very possible that it could have been that. Um, it's hard to say, to be honest with you. I think sometimes now, not so much during your grandfather's time, but definitely now, you know, a lot of people misidentify satellites, but there's a lot more of them now than there were then, for sure. A lot more now because of Starlink than there were even, 10, 20 years ago. So I think now it's like you got to know how to tell satellites from non-satellites a lot of times, and I honestly don't think a lot of people spend enough of time researching things like that to really be able to give a good call on it. But during that time period with our grandparents, yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of satellite stuff going on. Maybe none at all, as a matter of fact. So, um, yeah, I'm sitting here staring at my phone screen because I keep thinking, well, maybe, but no, this person is on Central Time. I was like, well, maybe he got his times mixed up, and maybe he still got his times mixed up. I'm just very disappointed because this is somebody who I would hope would be more punctual and more organized because he's actually part of the Kentucky chapter of the North American Dogman Project. So there's that. Um, Right, and that's the thing is, like, there's a lot of times when we have, um there's some experiences that happen that, we people who are gifted, um, experience things that, I guess I don't even know how to explain what I'm really thinking right now. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Um, it's really hard to shift gears like this at the last minute. I know it actually that's kinda, "Hey, Ashes, how are you doing?" Actually, that's my what I was about to say, James. If I would have known ahead of time, it would have been a lot easier to prepare for this instead of having to figure it out at 7:10 that I was probably getting a no-show. But, I understand life happens, things happen. I don't know the story, so I'm not gonna go on about it right now. Um, because I don't know what may have come up, could be a family emergency or something, I don't know. But, honestly, the way things have been I think I so I talked to Tom Franklin today and for a few minutes, and I think, we're both kinda under the assumption that, frankly, YouTube is so saturated with paranormal podcasts right now that some of the smaller shows like ours are really not getting a lot of traction now because there's so many guys at the top of the food chain. It's like you got people like Merkel, Jessica Jones, people who get hundreds of people coming in to watch their show. And so, um, pyramids, other stuff. Yeah. I gotta tell you guys something. I really always appreciate, um, getting getting information about um, various episodes of other podcasts and so forth. It's really hard to keep up with it, honestly, because I travel. Like, this week is a classic example, of how my life goes a lot of times. I worked Sunday through Thursday morning. I got off late Thursday, like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I actually paid for another day to stay in at the hotel because I didn't feel like driving at that point because it was a hard week. It was a really hard week. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. So doing a lot of crap. Yeah. But with that said, I just got home today, when I should have gotten home sometime yesterday. But I will like actually let me write that down because I do want to check it out. But and I always I always appreciate that James gives me stuff all the time that I write down or I take note of on my phone or something, and I eventually get to it. But I got to tell you, like it, the hardest part for me is like I want to watch it right then, but chances are I'm at work on break or something when I see the post. So I can't really watch it right then. I could listen to it. But if it's something that has like photo evidence or something like that, it's kind of hard to do at work. But I will listen to stuff on my earbud at work because we can, um, if it's something that I can do that way. But I'm telling you, the minute I get a thing, like any kind of stuff like that, my first intention is I wanna drop everything and go watch it. I can't do that. I really wish I could. It would make things so much easier. Um, the hidden knowledge. Let's see, is number 88. You or maybe James or somebody has suggested something else by on him sometime in the past because I know that name sounds really familiar. Okay, so I got that written down. Yeah, um, I love getting suggestions on things to read and things to watch. I really do. Um, and I eventually buy the books, to be honest with you, either the digital copy or a hard copy of them. And eventually I get around to reading them. I've got so many books on my shelf right now and in my Kindle um, that are on my read list. Uh, and I'll tell you guys a secret. Like, if I have a guest coming on, like I just booked somebody tonight that was coming on, just before the show, I booked him, as a matter of fact. He's coming on next month, and he just got a new book put out, a workbook on, spiritual warfare. So, I'm gonna obviously read that book soon. Chris McKinnell just got it put out a book on you know his story and kind of a little bit. I haven't gotten all the way through it yet, but um, he goes back and forth between telling some of his stories, sharing some experiences, and talking about his grandparents. And if you guys don't know who Chris McKinnell is, he's the grandson of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Oh my God. Don't even get me started. I could literally spend hours talking about how much I love Katie Page. Katie is, to me, one of the best people. I love interviewing her. I love watching her show, like her podcast, guys. If you have not subscribed to Katie Page's podcast, go do it. It's worth it. She goes over documents. She'll read documents that she has and so forth on there. She has interviews with people on there that's really good and really important. There's some really good stuff about the cattle mutilations on there. So, Katie Page is definitely one of those people that you want to get to know. If you do not know her stuff yet, gosh, yes, I was outside a little bit here and there this week. You can tell. My allergies are just messed up. I love nature, but nature does not love me. Katie Page is one of the most important people in my list of characters. Her and Chris McKinnell are two people who I reach out to when I've got questions. Trey Hudson is another one who I strongly suggest people get familiar with him, read his books, watch his videos, check out his interviews. A fascinating. That is like a trinity of people right there. That if you have not got on your list of people to watch and keep up with and pay attention to, those are three people that I strongly suggest. doing the thing. Follow them, do like make sure that you excuse me, at least get to know their story. I've been saying here, sucking down water for the last hour before I even got started with the show. So I'm out of water again. Yay. Um, but yeah, Katie is phenomenal. Um, yeah, I agree. Trey is definitely uh like I- you want to know something really funny about Trey that struck me as something really cool that I would never have guessed. Like he is a fan of Susie and the Banshees. I somehow it never clicked to me that he would be one of those people that would listen to gothic music and stuff like that. But yeah, he has a very eclectic music taste, and that was one of the bands that he has posted about recently from his Facebook page. That I was like, wait a minute, you know Susie and the Banshees? That is too cool. Um, so there's a lot to these guys that a lot of folks uh, don't really get to know unless you follow them and pay attention to them. They're more than just what you see in the interviews, and I really enjoy getting to know more about each one of them. You know, the Katie Page experience, and it is an experience getting to know her because she has not only been like she lived in at Clearview Ranch, but she's done so much over the years with research and getting to know the right people in the right places. You know, like she's a wealth of information, a wealth of information. Trey is the same way. Chris is, this is why I'm talking about these guys right now. These guys are the people who are a wealth of information in the areas that they focus in, and then some. So you're not going to get a lot of sensationalism. You're not going to get a lot of hype. You're going to get a lot of facts with them. So if you're one of those people that just want to go chasing clickbait, they're not for you. But if you're somebody that's serious about doing the thing, Harley is really good. Um, I'm not going to deny that. Harley is very good. I've met Harley face to face. I spent an entire day with him at the Bigfoot Festival in Townsend about 2 years ago. Harley is a very good kid. And I say that because Harley's only like 22, no, he's older than that. Maybe he's like 25, 26 now. Um, so, I mean, comparatively, he is kind of still a kid to me. But um, he's got some very interesting photos and some very interesting experiences. And he's shared a lot of photos with me before that I go back and I look at from time to time and do do some stuff with the photos to try to see what's there and what's not there and that kind of stuff. Um, Katie's adorable. I'm not even gonna lie about that. She is adorable. Um, the thing with Harley like he has a wealth of photos. So there's a lot to process with that. There's a lot to go through and check out. I really want to get with him at some point and uh, look at if he's willing to. I don't know, because got he's on a different direction right now in a way. But I would really like to get in touch with him at some point and uh, look at some of the areas that he's gone to and see some of those areas for myself and see if we can find some of the things that he's photographed before, um, the structures and so forth. Um, I kind of want to go when it's colder out though, because I don't really, like, I read an article today, like a dummy. I read an article about somebody getting snake bit here in Murfreesboro, where I live at, by a rattlesnake. And I know I know they're around here, but like, you got to know that I have always had an extreme weird relationship with reptiles. So when it comes to the nope ropes, I really want to go during the winter time when they're not so much around, or when it gets cold enough that they kind of stop hanging out so much so. But yeah, Harley is a good one. I have not been able to keep up with a lot of the work that he's doing, but Brian Jeffrey, with Black Mass Paranormal, I've talked about him before. He's very much the he's very much local, and he's been doing some interesting things. He's actually caught some stuff on video. I think there was one Bigfoot encounter where he caught something that was kind of interesting. I've heard a lot of people warning about ticks, which is one of the reasons why I'm avoiding going out to right now, to be honest with you, because um, I'm kind of a bug magnet. If it bites you, it's gonna bite me. I'll wind up with spider bites and all kinds of things all the time. I'm that one person that will wake up with 4 or 5 spider bites around my ankle, the same ankle. Um, so yeah, tick season, snake season, I don't wanna deal with either one of them. I've never been close enough to a rattlesnake to get bit. I've never been close enough to a copperhead to get bit. Um, yeah, see, that's the other thing. I wanna find a place um in where am I wanting to move to? Cookville, that I can actually have a garden and grow some vegetables and some herbs for cooking with. You know what? I've heard that skin so soft repels them. I understand why, though. I remember that having a smell to it that I did not care too much for. But I don't like citronella, and I don't like, maybe I'm part tick. Um, I don't like citronella, and I don't like those spray bug repellents. I don't like the smell of any of that. I use it, but the smell of it just grosses me out. Citronella, I absolutely like. Uh, yeah, I can't stand it. I'll use it. I'll burn citronella candles and so forth outside, but the smell, I have to be where I can't smell it. So maybe I may be part bug, I don't know. Who knows? I kinda feel like I am some days. Um, yeah. There's so I really don't have a whole lot to talk about tonight at this point, to be honest with you guys. I kinda covered all the things, that I really was thinking about or whatever because I really was like I was still hoping at 12 minutes after that maybe he was gonna show up. Huh. I haven't heard the coffee ground thing, but I may have to try it just to see. Yeah, I've heard people say, to use it on your pets, your dogs, to keep ticks off of them. I may actually have to get some Skin So Soft, actually. Ashes, you know what? I'm doing great. How are you? I I'm doing. I'll put it that way. Great. It was a long week. I'm tired. My guest did not show up, and you guys know how I feel about no shows. Again, it could be a something came up that, there could be a family issue or something that came up, I don't know. But now I'm wondering about my guest next week because usually when I get one no show, I get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 in a row. So, but I am gonna be moving to Saturday nights in July. So, I've already booked a couple of shows. One of them I have to go back and rebook, make sure he's on for Saturday because I have not heard back from him yet, about Saturday, and I don't know what his schedule is, his work schedule and so forth. So, but one I booked tonight for July, um, I'm probably gonna get off of here in a minute, to be honest with you, because I was not prepared to have to do a backup. It was a long week. I didn't even have time to really like, normally, I would try to have something prepared just in case, um, but I didn't even have time this week to do any of that. Actually, the last couple of weeks. I haven't had time to, like, really do anything backup-wise or anything, so, I'm probably just gonna get off of here in a minute, to be honest with you, because I really don't have anything else to go over. I've talked about changing days, that was the big thing. I talked about my interest in doing a little bit of research on Oak Ridge, the history of Oak Ridge, public information stuff, not anything that's gonna cause problems. Um, yeah, I really didn't. You have a good week too. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I really didn't have a lot on the docket to talk about other than the questions I had prepared for. Oh, wow. All right. Good deal. All right. Well, you guys have a good rest of the night, and I will see you next week.
waited for so long to see when you come back to me. Through the wars and battles that were lost, we're born again, it's you and me. The rest is history. Past lives. Past lives. Did we dance together on different floors in 1500 or 1504? We must have been lovers, we must have been something in our